The Korean sentiment of Han, often described as a complex emotional blend of sorrow, longing, perseverance, and even hope, is one of the most distinctive aspects of Korean culture. Recently in Türkiye, a special exhibition has been drawing attention for interpreting Han through paintings created by a Turkish artist, based on his own understanding and experience of this uniquely Korean emotion. Today, we'll discuss the meaning of Han with Professor Mahmut Ertan Gökmen of Ankara University's Department of Korean Language and Literature, who also led a seminar on Han during this exhibition. He joins us now live from Ankara. Hello, Professor Gökmen.
Hello, Professor.
Hello, how are you?
Thank you very much for joining us. Professor Gökmen, Han, it's a very deeply significant emotional concept. So first and foremost, could you please explain this concept? What do you personally think is Han?
Han is, as you probably know, is one of those concepts that resists a clean and one-line definition. It's more of a lived emotional landscape than a single feeling. If I had to explain it simply, I would say Han is deep, accumulated sense of sorrow, injustice, and unresolved longing that stays with a person or even a whole people over time. It's not just a sadness, I think. It's sadness that has nowhere to go. It often comes from historical or personal suffering, loss, oppression, missed opportunities, betrayal, or unfairness in context of Korean history. So I can describe Han as a kind of emotional knot tied, enduring, and passed down across generations. So rather than a single emotion, briefly, Han is more like a quiet, persistent emotional undercurrent shaped by history, maybe, or memory, or the endurance.
I don't know a better way to have put it.
Yes, that's a very good explanation indeed. So, are there any similar emotional concepts or maybe expressions in Turkish culture that you feel resonate with the idea of Han?
No, there isn't a single Turkish concept that fully captures that Han represents. The depth, historical layering, and collective emotional weight of Han don't map neatly onto one word or idea in Turkish culture. Probably the closest feeling is hüzün. It refers to a kind of melancholy or spiritual sadness, or kadercilik. It is fatalism in English. But it resembles the endurance aspect of Han, but it doesn't carry the same emotional accumulation or unresolved grievance. Or içine atmak idiom, for example, which means to bottle things up. The overlap with Han's sense of loss, but they lack its bitterness, injustice, and historical burden. So while Turkish culture certainly has rich ways of expressing sorrow, longing, and endurance, these elements are fragmented across different words and practices. None of them, I'm afraid, alone carries the same combination of historical memory, quiet resentment, unresolved grief, and collective identity that makes Han so distinctive.
Right. I guess because it is so distinctive and there is no equivalent concept, I guess that is why actually an exhibition is currently taking place in Ankara, which is evolving around Han. So what makes it especially fascinating is I heard that Turkish artist Halis Efe Saral has interpreted the Korean sentiment of Han through visual art. So, Professor, how do you believe he sought to express and represent Han through his paintings?
Well, there's actually a very interesting story behind this. Efe is an artist who has undergone certain evolutions throughout his artistic career. There are many layers to this evolutionary process. In each stage of these layers, you can see the reflections of Han sentiment, much like the stages of the Han evolution in Korean history. In other words, you can see emotional layers such as sorrow, grief, melancholy, and faith, in short, the essence of Han in the artist's paintings. Last year, when I was teaching at Hankuk University of Foreign Studies in Korea, Efe came to Korea at the invitation of Fatih Püsküllü, one of my very old alumni. From the very first day he arrived, during the nearly 1 month he spent in Korea, he observed Korea, he lived Korea, experienced Korea, and began to draw. As he drew, a commonality began to emerge in the portraits, in the paintings. It was Han that both I and my student Fatih noticed in the paintings. We confirmed this with the Koreans around us as well. As Efe continued to draw, Han became more distinct, Korean culture became increasingly visible. It was now time for this to evolve into an exhibition showcasing Korean culture, and once the officials at the Korean Cultural Center in Ankara agreed with us, the exhibition came fruition.
That's so interesting. And I think I also saw in the paintings that there were some of the traditional Korean masks also in the background. And through those masks and also the facial expressions, you could really feel the concept of Han. Now, Professor Gökmen, I understand that you also led a seminar during the exhibition exploring Han from both literary and cultural perspectives. What key message or understanding did you most hope to share with visitors?
Well, actually, I've been learning and teaching Korean culture continuously since 1989. This period has spanned my youth, my middle age, and everything a Korean person might experience over the course of 37 years. In other words, I have witnessed some of Korea's most significant years. I spent approximately 5 of those 37 years in Korea, and I experienced firsthand the sorrows, joys, democratic progress, and athletic achievements of Korea. Thanks to these experiences, I had the opportunity to directly experience the unique emotions associated with Korea. One of these special feelings was Han. I had the chance to directly observe how Koreans internalize the sorrow, grief, injustices, and resilience inherent in Han, but above all, how they transform these into an inner energy and social solidarity. The BTS group provides the beautiful example of this, for example. While the slow tempo of Arirang song beautifully conveyed the Han of Korea in the past, evoking that sorrow and pain through both its lyrics and music, BTS rendition of Arirang and the title they gave to their album served as a crucial testament of how Korea has become a global force through the power of Han. In my seminar, I discussed this topic using various examples from Korean history, such as Tangun, the Japanese occupation, and the Korean War.
Right, and though you gave us a very good definition at the start of this interview, Han may be a somewhat unfamiliar or difficult concept for international audiences to fully grasp. How have Turkish visitors been responding to this exhibition and its portrayal of Korean emotion?
Yeah, you're right. The concept of Han is largely unknown in Türkiye. However, during the seminar, I explained Han. Some of the approximately 200 participants asked very interesting questions during the Q&A session at the end and made some comments that I had anticipated beforehand. This was very encouraging for me because as these questions and comments came in, I felt that I had really successfully conveyed such a complex concept of Han. The comments and questions taken as a whole demonstrated just how closely Turkish and Korean cultures are connected. I realized once again that through the reactions of Turkish participants, despite being geographically very distant, the people of Korea and Türkiye shared significant commonalities. This is because both Korea and Türkiye belong to the Alpaic cultural sphere and collectivist Eastern cultural tradition, which demonstrated that understanding the concept of Han in Turkey is not as difficult as one might think.
Right. We, in fact, also refer to each other as brother nations as well because of those connections that we have.
Yeah, that's right. And Professor, as a scholar of Korean literature, are there any particular literary works or artistic expressions that you feel most powerfully embody the essence of Han?
Well, we can see some concept of Han in a wide variety of literary works. In Korean literature, for example, Shin Kyung-suk's best-selling novel, Please Look After Mime, Ommaral Butake, is a work that beautifully reflects the family perspective of Han. In this book, the profiles, as you may probably know, the profiles of children who confess their feelings about their mother after losing her at a subway station truly serve as a testament of concept of Han. Similarly, Nobel Prize-winning Turkish author Orhan Pamuk's The Museum of Innocence, for example, is another example of Han sentiment in Turkish literature. There are a lot of more than this, I think.
Right. Now, Professor Gökmen, following this exhibition, are there maybe any plans for more cultural events or exhibitions in Turkey to introduce Korean emotions, values, and culture to the local audiences?
Well, undoubtedly, we have many plans. To bring these plans to fruition, as officials from the Korean Cultural Center and the Korean Embassy in Ankara in particular are providing active support. Additionally, within our department, we are interested in introducing the Korean literature with the support of Korean Translation Institute by translating works from Korean literature and bringing our students and Turkish readers interested in Korean literature together with the authors. Interest in Korean culture is growing in Turkey steadily. We aim to introduce Korean culture to an even wider audience and showcase its diverse aspects. If we can secure the necessary support, we also hope to bring the Han exhibition currently on display here to Korean art enthusiasts. Artist Halis Saral is also preparing to travel to Korea, and I'm certain that this time in Korea will be highly enriching, and he will create paintings that reflect Korea's diverse cultural characteristics. My greatest hope is that FA's new works inspired by Korea will be exhibited both in Korea and in Turkey in near future.
Wow, we would look forward to that. Well, thank you very much, Professor Gökmen, for connecting with us today and especially for sharing this deep sentiment with the Turkish people. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Walter, as always. We're going to have you back here pretty soon.
See you soon.